This time on Dreddit.
Am I the a-hole for not making my son give his friend his gamer account back? Sorry if I'm not using the right terms here, I clearly don't know much about gaming. Earlier today, I received a call from Sally, who has a son my son's age, 13. They're school friends but I don't think they've ever hung out outside of class. I vaguely know Sally from school events and we've always been friendly but we don't have the kind of relationship where she just calls out of the blue, so I was surprised to hear from her. She told me that her son had sold his League of Legends gaming account to my son and that he was now very upset about it, but my son wouldn't give it back. She was perfectly nice about it but asked if I could talk to him. I said that I would because quite honestly, I didn't really have a clue what she was talking about. I told my son about the call and asked him for his side of the story. He told me that this kid Sam were talking and Sam had told him that he was done playing League of Legends. My son offered to buy his account for $20 if he wasn't going to use it anymore and Sam agreed. But then Sam apparently wanted the account back a few days later and my son refused to give it back. Sam offered to pay $40 for it and my son still didn't give it back. I asked my son if he took advantage of Sam and he said that he didn't and that he didn't think it was fair that Sam can just take it back after making a deal. I happen to agree with him. A deal is a deal. I called Sally back and said that I was sorry but that my son didn't want to give it back and that it sounds like they made a fair deal that Sam was just now regretting. Sally said that it wasn't a fair deal because Sam had put much more than $20 into the account before selling it. I admitted that didn't know this but said that it didn't matter because he still agreed to sell it. Sally was upset and said that my son took advantage of hers and that I was allowing it. I told her that I didn't see it that way but that I was sorry her son was upset. Sally said she'd give my son $50 for the account and I said that I didn't think it was about money, but I again apologized that her son was upset. Sally snapped at me and said that I needed to stop apologizing if I wasn't going to actually do anything about it and hung up. I obviously feel terrible. I know how hard it is to have an upset kid who you can't help, but I don't think my son should have to compensate for Sam's seller's remorse. If Sam were my kid, I would use this as an opportunity to tell him to be more careful before making a deal you might regret. But I do have a nagging feeling that I may have messed up here. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for not letting my boyfriend move into my new apartment after he made us lose our shared one? Throw away because I don't want this drama tied to my real account. Me, 23F, and my boyfriend, 24M, got evicted a few months ago. We get along well and both of us are otherwise very responsible when it comes to work and household chores. The main issue here is, he games a lot, and is very loud when doing so. I tried to talk to him numerous times about how it's not appropriate to yell at the game in the middle of the night, but he never really listened to me. After too many noise complaints, we finally got evicted. During this time we have lived with a relative, and he has continued to be very loud in front of the computer. Now, I finally found an apartment I can afford, but I told him that I don't want to live with him as long as he keeps this behavior up, and that he will need to find an apartment on his own. I would love to live with him in the future if we ever get a home of our own, as we both dream of living remotely in the future. He thinks it's really shitty of me to decide this over one mistake, but I really don't want to go through this whole apartment searching process if he gets us evicted again, and he really doesn't show any inclination towards changing his behavior in this regard. Most of my friends think I am being unreasonable as well, since it was a one-time thing, but I think getting evicted over noise is a pretty major thing, especially since there was many complaints from the landlord before he kicked us out.
Am I the a-hole for calling my cousin out for purchasing Belle Delphine's Gamergirl Bathwater in front of the family? I am originally from Russia but my extended family lives in the US. I am here for school mainly. I was at a get-together for the 4th and my cousins started joking about Belle Delphine bathwater that she sold to people for I believe $30 American, over the internet. I did not know at the time, but my eldest cousin actually bought a cup of it but has not figured out what to do with it. I thought this was very disturbing as I come from a more financially conservative immediate family. I became very serious and concerned with my cousin as he does not work a good job and should not be spending his money on things such as this. I asked him his reasons for doing this and it turns out he just did it impulsively without any good reason, and as it turns out he does this kind of thing very consistently. I feared these bad habits could develop into real problems later in his life, so I confronted his parents and told them what he did. Things got serious as his parents were very disturbed by this purchase in particular, due to the fact that he spent a third of $100 on what is possibly contaminated water. Soon, everybody knew and they did a miniature intervention which involved family members giving him advice, etc. It was very humiliating for him. After I left, he sent me a voice message wherein he was crying and told me how I humiliated him and caused his depression to resurface. I tried to make amends, but he does not respond to me. I want to think I helped him, as the advice he received from our family was very good in my opinion. However, I do not want him to feel bad since it was really just a silly purchase. Thanks. Am I the a-hole for trying to test a girl's nerd? 20 male. Don't think I did anything wrong, but my friends are all saying I'm an asshole. So I have a group of friends and we're quite frankly, nerds. We met this girl I'll call L 2 years ago. The other guys all like her, think she's great and she knows all about things we're into, but I had a feeling she's not really one of us. I put up with it for 2 years, but I can't shake the feeling. So the last time we were together before quarantine, I decided to test her nerd. She seemed surprised but could answer all my questions, until I got to Star Trek. I was feeling pretty confident, until she asked me to clarify. Apparently I misspoke, and accidentally asked a trick question. My friends all jumped on me accusing me of being an asshole and she didn't need to pass some test to hang out with them and how I needed to get over it. Another friend pointed out that I wasn't the guardian of the group. I got mad, no one was on my side and left. Quarantine happened shortly after, and I recently found out they've all been chatting with her. I told her I didn't appreciate her trying to steal my friends. She never replied, but one of my friends bitched at me for a while. I got mad, no one was listening to me and said it's her or me. He said her. None of my other friends have messaged me since. My brother says I was trying to be king of the nerds and gatekeeping, and should apologize. I don't think I have anything to apologize for and they should apologize for not hearing me out. So tell me, am I the asshole for just trying to make sure she was actually a nerd like us? ETA, I knew I shouldn't have posted on here, you guys don't get it. I am not going to apologize for being suspicious of her intentions and being angry my so-called friends bailed on me for some chick they've only known 2 years. I was not gatekeeping, I was just trying to make sure she wasn't trying to be trendy. Screw this, I won't be back.
You